Coronation Street has unveiled a perilous new storyline for Debbie Webster as she struggles to survive life inside prison. Haunted by her history, the sharp-tongued entrepreneur soon finds herself in the crosshairs of a fresh adversary. In recent episodes, Debbie was handed a crushing prison term of 2 years and 8 months for an offense she insists she did not commit. Shortly after being locked in her cell, she suffered another mini-stroke and was rushed to hospital. In scenes still to come, Adam Barlow attempts to argue for a reduced sentence by highlighting Debbie's medical crisis and her diagnosis of vascular dementia. Despite his efforts, Debbie is forced to return to jail, where familiar faces from her past resurface. As the month unfolds, Debbie unexpectedly crosses paths with Lou Michaelis and mistakenly calls her Abby. While trying to explain her memory condition to her former neighbor, Debbie catches the attention of another prisoner, Paula. Although tensions had previously eased between them, Lou quickly warns Debbie that Paula is trouble and urges her to steer clear. Her fears seem justified when Paula confronts Debbie, bitterly recalling how she was once banned from the Chariot Square Hotel. The following day, Paula storms into Debbie's cell in a highly emotional state, breaking down as she reveals her boyfriend has ended their relationship while serving time for aggravated burglary. Ignoring Lou's warning, Debbie chooses compassion and offers comfort to the distressed inmate. However, the question remains whether Paula will respond with gratitude or turn hostile. Debbie's past is catching up with her, an insider reveals. She's accustomed to being in control, but it looks like she's made enemies without realizing it. She genuinely wants peace and shows real warmth when she consoles Paula. She simply wants to coexist with those around her. But the danger is whether Paula will lash out, proving Lou's concerns were right all along. Coronation Street is set to unleash a major shock as Carl Webster delivers a revelation that leaves his family reeling, right in the middle of a perilous arson storyline. In scenes airing next week, Carl's stunning disclosure pulls both Kevin and Ronnie into the heart of Debbie's most closely guarded secret, ensuring that the Webster family dynamic is changed forever. Caught off guard, Debbie is ultimately forced to admit the truth. Carl is her son, triggering chaos and emotional fallout all around. The revelation comes after Ronnie almost uncovers Carl's reckless plan to set Debbie's hotel ablaze, placing everyone in serious danger. Determined to push ahead with his scheme against the Chariot Square Hotel, Carl recruits a shady associate called Jez to inspect fire escapes and security cameras around the building. While Carl and Jez quietly plot their next move, Ronnie becomes suspicious, snaps photos of Jez, and firmly warns him to stay away from Carl. Following this encounter, Ronnie confronts Carl directly and tells him to abandon whatever he's plotting before things spiral out of control. Carl responds with chilling confidence, declaring that Debbie will always protect him because she's his mother. Stunned by the claim, Ronnie immediately ropes Kevin into the situation, and the pair waste no time heading to HMP Weatherfield to confront Debbie face to face. An insider reveals Ronnie is completely blindsided, so he drags Kevin along to get answers as soon as possible. When they demand the truth, Debbie has no option but to confirm Carl's bombshell. It's a massive shock for Ronnie, but it hits Kevin even harder, as he spent his whole life believing Carl was his brother. The question now is how both men will process such an earth-shattering truth. Meanwhile, Sue Devaney has hinted that there may still be hope amid the turmoil. Ronnie's dealing with a lot, isn't he? Luckily, he's a pretty calm guy, she said. Debbie just keeps piling on the problems, and now it's, oh, by the way, I've got a son. She continued, Ronnie is really steady, and Debbie knows that. She believes he's not going anywhere, no matter how messy things get. Her focus is on Carl and making sure he's okay, and Ronnie will either stand by her or walk away. Realistically, he'll stay. Speaking about whether Debbie and Kevin can repair their strained relationship, Sue added, there's always been a deep connection there. Kevin isn't going anywhere either. It comes down to forgiveness. It's incredibly hard for him, because it's not just that his brother stole his wife. Now he discovers that same brother is actually his nephew. That's a lot to take in, but it makes for brilliant soap drama. Fans of Coronation Street are convinced that an upcoming downfall for Carl Webster will not unfold as a mystery, insisting his punishment is already inevitable. Viewers believe the writing is on the wall for Carl, who they are certain will face consequences in future episodes rather than being part of a traditional whodunit storyline. Carl first appeared in Weatherfield last year after previously existing only as a name from the past, with many believing he was the child of Bill and Elaine Webster, born while the couple were living overseas. When Carl was still young, his world was turned upside down after Bill returned alone to Weatherfield following Elaine's infidelity, leaving Carl behind. It has since been revealed that neither Bill nor Elaine were Carl's biological parents, with Debbie Webster later admitting she was his real mother rather than the half-sister he believed she was. This explosive secret came to light for viewers after Debbie admitted responsibility for a dangerous driving offense that resulted in the death of Billy Mayhew, following a terrifying multi-vehicle collision. The devastating crash formed part of the ambitious crossover storyline that placed residents from both Weatherfield and the Dales in mortal danger. As longtime viewers are aware, it was actually Carl behind the wheel at the time of the collision, but while Debbie lay unconscious, he moved her into the driver's seat and allowed her to take the blame. What Carl failed to realize was that Debbie was fully aware she hadn't been driving, yet chose to accept responsibility to protect her son from a prison sentence. More recently, as Debbie began preparing for life behind bars, Carl appeared to waver when a distraught Ronnie Bailey told him that Debbie had confused him with Ray and voiced fears about her dementia worsening in custody. Moved by the warning, Carl promised to fix the situation. But when Ronnie later explained the troubling conversation to Debbie, she hurried to stop him from going to the authorities. When Carl finally admitted he was the driver, Debbie revealed she had always known and, in a moment of desperation, confessed that he was her son. The confrontation between them became deeply emotional, as Debbie explained she was only 17 when Carl was born, and that while Elaine wanted to end the pregnancy, Bill Webster agreed to raise the child as his own. Carl responded by saying his upbringing was far from ideal, and that the truth finally explained why Elaine Webster never showed him any warmth. Ultimately, Carl appeared unmoved by Debbie's sacrifice, coldly telling her to make the most of prison life as he had no intention of visiting her. In later scenes, Debbie was devastated to discover Carl's flat key abandoned behind the bar at the Chariot Square Hotel as she prepared for court. Unwilling to face the hearing without him present, she tracked Carl down at the cafe, only for him to confirm the depth of his resentment toward her. When Debbie finally stood before the judge, it was revealed she narrowly avoided a far harsher punishment. Taking into account her guilty plea and her dementia diagnosis, the court sentenced her to 2 years and 8 months instead of a longer term. Emotional scenes followed as Debbie suffered a serious medical episode, leaving her family deeply worried as she was rushed to hospital. The aftermath reignited viewers' anger toward Carl, strengthening fan theories that he will be central to the upcoming flash-forward storyline that teases one death among 5 possible victims. Coronation Street continues to air on weekday evenings on ITV1 and is also available to stream on ITVX.